Good afternoon, Carl Defenbaugh with you here on a Thursday afternoon. It is 12:30 here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Live Desk up and running another day here as we are each and every Monday through Friday. We'll be here for the next 2 hours until 2:30, bringing you the news from around our city, around our state, and even the country as well. A quick roundup of a couple of the things that we're tracking here at 12:30, and we'll get to over the next couple hours or so. A live look at the White House, where the press secretary's weekly briefing is supposed to start momentarily. When we get word that Caroline Leavitt is stepping to the podium, we'll try to get you some of those statements and questions from reporters there from our nation's capital. How about a beautiful shot of New York City, the Big Apple, with the Empire State Building standing tall there in the middle of the Chrysler Building, always a favorite of mine off to the right. It's kind of a cool shot of Manhattan here on this Thursday afternoon. And then, of course, the Wisconsin Live Desk. We bring you back to Wisconsin. This is our airport tower camera here, giving you a shot of Milwaukee Mitchell Airport. The traffic control tower going to be very busy with what's happening. Honestly, starting today, started yesterday. You heard the jets in the skies as we bring in our own Bill Miston, a different angle, a different view on the other end of the airport there. Bill, great to have you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk ahead of what will be a very busy weekend. The Milwaukee Air Water Show back once again, and you got to speak to really the stars of the show when they're here in our city. Tell us about what you're working on today.
Yeah, the Blue Angels are back in town for the Milwaukee Air and Water Show. The last time they were here was 2 years ago. Fat Albert, the C-130, was here already this morning by the time we got to the Wisconsin Air National Guard refueling wing. And then we watched as 6 F-18 Super Hornets landed and got to speak with some of the Blue Angels themselves, pilot as well as the ground crews that are essential in putting these shows on each and every stop that they go. They flew in today from Pensacola, Florida. That's where the Blue Angels is based at. Our photojournalist Tanner Hemker is zooming in there over towards the Wisconsin Air National Guard refueling wing and just kind of showing you what we have right now. Is if I could take a look here, Tanner, I just want to see what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, it looks like at least 6
you can
of the
see
jets
Fat Albert there. Yeah, you can see Fat Albert there over on the left. That's the C-130, and then what appears to be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 F-18 Super Hornets. Believe right now there's 2 that are out doing some maneuvers or flying. If you're living or working in or around downtown Shorewood, Whitefish Bay, and you're hearing a loud rumble in the sky, well, that are some Super Hornets flying around right now. Just taking a look at where our I'm just taking a look at our flight maps right now to see where those 2 may have gone to. But yeah, very exciting stuff. Not only are the Blue Angels here in town, but also the F-22 Raptor demo team. We were out here this morning as they were doing some maneuvers over the Air National Guard space here at General Mitchell International Airport. So lots of stuff that's going to be happening this weekend with Blue Angels, Air National Guard, as well as some other military demo teams here. I believe the F-35 as well as a C-17 that is going to be taking part in the Air and Water Show on Saturday and Sunday. So later on tonight, we'll have a full story on what it takes to put these shows on for the Blue Angels and the amount of people that are involved in doing that.
Yeah, it's always so cool to have them back here in town. Just for people who are maybe attending this weekend, the water portion is usually in the morning, the air show in the afternoon, and the Blue Angels are scheduled to perform around 3 p.m. Each afternoon, Saturday and Sunday. But as you said, many people, myself included, heard them in the skies yesterday. They were getting to town doing some practice, and certainly will be doing that today and tomorrow as well. From chatting with the pilots, Bill, what do they seem to like about Milwaukee? I know, having done some of those interviews in years past, they love performing over a lake like this, where you kind of have that shoreline, almost like they're along an ocean coast, almost here along our Great Lake. What did you hear from the pilots about the show and what we can expect this weekend?
Well, you know, they love being able to perform. The pilot that I spoke with, he is a major. He's from Indiana, so he's from the Midwest, familiar with Milwaukee. The last time the Blue Angels were here, he trying to remember correctly if he was here for that trip, but one of the logistics crew that is part of all of this, the commanding master chief, he is from Racine, and so very special for him to be back closer to home. He has family still here, so he comes back and visits as much as he can, but he's been in the Navy since 1999 and has traveled a bunch of places. However, the pilot for Fat Albert said that, you know, he spent a lot of time overseas and in Japan, but being with the Blue Angels, he's gotten to go and visit a lot of different places, more so than he had been when he was doing his regular duty within the U.S. Navy. So very cool stuff for these sailors and airmen with the U.S. Air Force to be coming to Milwaukee and putting on yet another air show.
Yeah, certainly interesting. You mentioned him, Command Master Chief Matthew Dawson is that Racine native back in southeastern Wisconsin as well. Joined the Blue Angels in September 2023 after a long career with the Navy already leading up to that. Bill, let me ask you this, because I was the type of kid that had plane posters all over my room growing up. I can tell from some of your emails when anything happens with flights or jets in the area, you are very much a buff when it comes to this. Tell us about what your enjoyment is, what it's like getting to cover, and what it's like watching a demo team like the Blue Angels, so precise and so impressive in those skies.
Yeah, I was, I think, 7 when I went to an air show in Valparaiso, Indiana, and I flew on, I think, very much to my parents' fear. I flew on I think it was a 1920s era Stinson tri-motor. If I remember correctly, it had wicker seats. So that was my first time flying, and so definitely have been an airplane buff since. Have been lucky to live in a number of places where I've been able to get up close to planes and go flying with whether it's military or acrobatic flight teams such as Oracle. So definitely very, very cool stuff. The job has allowed me to be able to do that. And I was actually talking with the pilot of Fat Albert. It was, math is hard, 16 years ago when I was working in Illinois, the Blue Angels had stopped in Janesville, had gone up to Janesville to do a story with them, and the commander of the Blue Angels then, pilot of Fat Albert, was Major Drew Hess, who was from the Rockford area. So we got to do a story with him, some very close connections there. So that was the last time I've actually flown on Fat Albert, and it is an absolute ride. Obviously, the F-18 Super Hornets, a lot of people look at those, and those are definitely amazing, amazing machines. But being able to fly and do some of the maneuvers that C-130 does is absolutely remarkable. And being on the flight deck for that is definitely an experience I won't forget. So yes, I do love airplanes. Long story short, to answer your question.
It's come a long way from that wicker seat as well, and thankfully for your parents, still flying high on the chance to cover some of those stories out there. Very cool. Last question, any kind of concerns about the weather going into this weekend? We're going to get a report from our Stephanie Barrichello later in the Wisconsin Live Desk here about kind of the off and on. The Blue Angels are prepared for this. They perform all across the country and the world, but any kind of hints about what we can expect or what some of the qualifications would be like with some rain in the forecast this weekend?
You know, I think they always plan on what they're going to be doing, and if for whatever reason that they weren't going to be flying, then they're not flying. But we're at the parking lot just on the north side of the airport here off of Layton, talking to people here. Everyone's kind of like, yeah, we know that, you know, it's possible that there's going to be rain in the forecast on Saturday, but luckily, you know, the air show still goes on Sunday as well. So people are definitely looking at that weather, but hopefully that it'll hold off at least for some part on Saturday, and obviously continuing with the Air and Water Show on Sunday. Yeah, very nice. And then, of course, today and tomorrow, you can usually catch maybe not a full show, but like basically they run through a lot of their practice runs for those different maneuvers, doing that just as they will on Saturday and Sunday. So if you're down by the lakefront, maybe pop on down. You can catch them this afternoon as well. Bill Miston, a nice assignment today for you, my friend. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Live Desk. All right, thanks, Carl. See you later.
All right, we'll let Bill get back to it. It's been some close ties, nice along the years with Fox 6 and the Milwaukee Air and Water Show as well. Our own Jason Calvi actually got to fly with the Blue Angels. That was a couple years ago. Very cool experience for him. He has a brother who is, I believe, in the Air Force. I can't remember Air Force and Navy, but a pilot in the U.S. military, and got that experience. Just absolutely amazing to see. Not to brag a little bit, but got to fly with the Thunderbirds when they were in town years ago. Got to fly in one of those F-16s myself, not an F-18, but just an incredible experience. The precision of those pilots and their ability to perform when your body is going through those just absolutely grueling G-forces there for some of the high-end maneuvers that they do. Incredible stuff, and that is the goal of the Blue Angels, the Thunderbirds, all the other demo teams like Bill alluded to there, the F-22 Raptor demo team as well, getting folks like a young Bill Miston back in the day, like myself over the years, interested in the U.S. Navy, in the Air Force, in the U.S. military, and all the different careers and fields that you can be a part of through that. They'll be doing that for the Air and Water Show this weekend. Of course, the team that supports the Blue Angels, it's not just the 6 pilots we see flying those formations over the lakefront, but dozens, if not hundreds of people as part of the support team just for the Blue Angels that travel around the country as they do this rotation of shows throughout the year. And very blessed to have them back here in Milwaukee as we will get to enjoy that show over the next few days. If you're curious, I mentioned a few of the things as I'll put up another shot of the airport there, the tarmac at MKE, sharing it, of course, with the Air National Guard, which is where the Blue Angels are parked and stationed for this weekend. So it's Saturday and Sunday, 10 in the morning will be the beginning of the water show both days. Of course, all of this weather permitting. Right at noon will be a special kind of combo, a performance of the national anthem, while also a parachute team will be doing a demonstration during that stretch. I wonder if they'll be bringing in the American flag as part of the national anthem performance at noon each of those days. And then a whole series of air performances with different demo teams and flight programs planned for the afternoon, but it all leads up to the main event. Both Saturday and Sunday, the Blue Angels scheduled to perform around 3 p.m. each and every day. Should be a great day as we watch a Southwest jet take off there, a 737. Also impressive, if not quite the formation of the Blue Angels F-18 Super Hornets. All right, we're going to take a short break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Much more to come on this program, including the press secretary just stepped to the podium, or is about to. We'll try to get some of that briefing as well as some local reporting for you here. The news in Milwaukee on this Thursday. Thanks for watching the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Carl Deffenbaugh back with you. We've had some of the fun with the Milwaukee Air and Water Show here in town. Now some other news of the day. I want to pull up a camera feed that's moving around a little bit, so just prepare. Our photographer covering this in downtown Milwaukee is getting some different footage of this march and appearance by family members and friends and supporters of a woman named Diamond Arbory, who was shot and killed outside of Milwaukee's Element Lounge, now going on about 4 years ago. It was July of 2021 that woman, Diamond, was shot and killed in downtown Milwaukee. Apparently, police said a fight that started outside or inside the Element Lounge then spilled out into the streets. And the family, including, I believe, her mother, Lakia Thomas, Diamond Arbory's mother, is trying to keep that memory alive because still to this day they do not know who killed her daughter. So that death, of course, has left a void for that family, for the community as well. Diamond Arbory, a daughter, a friend, a loved one, and a symbol of strength for those who knew her as well. So this is an event today happening as we speak right now. Let me get you some of the background audio there of what's happening. A march for justice that begins at Element Nightclub and then will end at Milwaukee's City Hall down Water Street, hoping to shine a light on Diamond's story and ensure that that name is not forgotten, trying to raise awareness about violence impacting our community and requesting that more people attend what they have declared Diamond Day, trying to find the 24-year-old, whoever killed the 24-year-old back on July 23rd of 2021. To this day, no one has been arrested or held responsible for her murder. So plenty of questions there from her mother, her other friends and supporters there gathered. Justice for DA on the signs, and that is certainly what they are hoping for today. So that's something you can look for throughout the day today, from Element Lounge all the way to Milwaukee City Hall. We'll try to check in again if they get on the move as well. In the meantime, we also wanted to bring you to the press secretary, Caroline Levitt. We mentioned she was holding her weekly briefing. She recently started addressing the media there at the White House. Let's listen in live to some of the statements and then some of the line of questioning that Caroline Levitt takes at the White House today.
Continues to strongly have the backs of all ICE agents who are doing their jobs to keep all of us, including everyone in this room, safe. The facility, sorry, 1 second. In other news, following President Trump's bold executive actions protecting American children from irreversible chemical and surgical mutilation, the largest provider of these barbaric practices will now be closing its doors. The facility in Los Angeles, California, is just the latest facility downsizing or eliminating their irreversible and harmful services that feed into the lie that you can somehow change a child's sex. The Biden administration peddled dangerous policies that defied medical science in favor of radical transgender ideology. But President Trump has put an end to that to ensure America's children's innocence is protected and our children can lead healthy and productive lives. Finally, last night, Senate Republicans passed President Trump's $9 billion rescissions package. This will help restore fiscal sanity in our country by rescinding billions in wasteful foreign aid and finally ending taxpayer funding for PBS and NPR, two media organizations that have ridiculously used federal dollars to push a partisan left-wing agenda for many years. The House should pass this rescissions package immediately and send it to the president's desk for signature. On another note, I know that many in the media have been speculating about bruising on the president's hand and also swelling in the president's legs. So in the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today. In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House medical unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Laboratory testing included a complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers. All results were within normal limits. An echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified. Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen. This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy. And the president remains in excellent health, which I think all of you witness on a daily basis here. So the president wanted me to share that note with all of you. I'm happy to take further questions on it. We will provide the memorandum from the president's position to all of you, as we always do. And we'll get to questions here in our
Interesting updates there from Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, including some things that people had noticed about President Donald Trump's appearance and health over the last few days or weeks. So while she continues the line of questioning there from reporters, we do want to get you back to some of the news of the day here in Milwaukee. And we'll pop up a shot of City Hall here. You can see the flag above City Hall on the right side of your screen there. An interesting pairing between MPD and MPS, the Milwaukee Police Department, and Milwaukee Public Schools, trying to address some of the violence throughout the city. And for more on this, we bring in our Abril Preciado covering that story for us today outside of Milwaukee Police Department headquarters there downtown, elsewhere in downtown. Abril, tell us about this. What's going on today and what are you covering?
Yes, hi Donovan and everyone that's watching us online as well. So we actually are just kind of coming from the Gun Violence Summit that was actually taking place outside of City Hall. We made our way over here just because it just ended up working out for us during our news gathering. But anyways, there were some big highlights that we were really able to grasp during the summit. Actually, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a visual per se of who was present. Mayor Cavalier Johnson was there, and Milwaukee Public Schools Superintendent Brenda Caselius was there, as well as Milwaukee Police Department Assistant Chief was also present. And some of the things that really caught my attention during the summit was a discussion about youth and gun violence. Just this year and today, just year to date right now, there has been a total of 82 homicides that have been reported as of today here in 2025. And that's a lot more than what we saw back in 2024. In 2024, we saw 72 homicides during this time frame. So that just kind of gives you a perspective of what we're seeing right now. And another thing that we were also able to grasp was a very emotional statement from Dr. Caselius, which is the Milwaukee Public Schools Superintendent. She got really emotional after speaking about students that are also being impacted by this. During her statement at the summit, she was pretty much explaining how during board meetings, Milwaukee Public Schools had moments of silence where several names were read, and among the names, unfortunately, many of them involved students there. And so she made a point to say that that this needs to stop. Her goal is to have 0 students involved or killed in gun violence this next year. So one thing that she was telling us during the summit was that they're including resources. They're adding something. They're adding a new program to Milwaukee Public Schools that's going to be part of the new budget to help with that and to help stop that and to combat that. And now, if you guys remember, just right now from the beginning, I gave you guys the number of homicides that have been reported this year, which is 82 so far. Dr. Caselius said that 43% of those homicides involve children. So it's very shocking to just see that it's a huge percentage, it's a huge number that includes our youth here. So clearly there's lots to be done, and that's why, many local organizations and nonprofits also gather to also put their points and really address this ongoing what they're calling an epidemic happening here in Milwaukee, and trying to crack down on this, because this is obviously something that is very much having a huge impact. I mean, just last night, we also got to report on another incident that involved some youth involved with gun violence. So it is very much an area and a topic that is very much hitting home, especially within our younger children here in the area.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does seem like this has become common that we're covering these stories, and this has been the case, unfortunately, for a number of years. I think about Dr. Caselius, too, joining Milwaukee Public Schools and taking over the department, so many different issues when it comes to financial issues, then led in schools, the return of Milwaukee police officers in some buildings as well, and this on top of it, another very serious issue that she's trying to stay on top of with the district. As Abril, I believe the jets of the Blue Angels or some of the other planes from the Milwaukee Air and Water Show are flying above you there. That's going to be kind of the sound that we hear throughout Milwaukee for much of the next few days, as we heard from our Bill Miston. Let me ask you this. When it came to possible solutions, it's good to hear that there's this gathering of different city officials, leaders from different organizations and districts. When it comes to solutions, what was discussed? Not just stating that gun violence is an issue, but what was some of the discussions of ways to actually try to change it?
Well, Donovan, some of the things that were, or some of the, I guess, the solutions that were discussed during the summit is the fact that they were explaining about different outreach. The school district getting involved with different nonprofits in the area, kind of working together. The same thing was, and that was the same sentiment that Milwaukee Police Department was also mentioning, the fact that, you know, they're trying to do research, they're trying to find different ways, talking to different people to find effective solutions to help crack down on this epidemic that we're seeing here within our city. And obviously it's something that's affecting several people, not just like one specific group, but they're working on many different things. And I know that the other, I guess another thing that was mentioned that Milwaukee Public Schools also mentioned was the fact that, you know, they're trying to place more resources within the school district so kids can either stay out of trouble or use their time more productively so they don't get involved with you know, wrong crowds or whatnot. And one thing that really also stuck to me from the summit that came from the assistant chief here with Milwaukee, with the Milwaukee Police Department, is that parents also need to do their part. Families need to do their part as well when it comes to finding out who their kids are hanging out with. Checking their backpacks, as simple as that, talking to them and just being more involved, because if there is a way that, you know, parents can possibly prevent any of these circumstances or any of these tragic situations, is by doing the simple things like checking their backpack, talking to them, finding out who they're hanging out with, and maybe, you know, that would in a way help with interfering with any of these incidents from happening again, or just from stopping them before they happen, more so.
Yeah, no, that's all the series of good advice there coming from those school leaders. Abril, I'll just have a little bit of fun with you here at the end. It's actually Carl, not Donovan, on the live desk today. Although
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry, it's not the first time.
I apologize.
Apparently our voices sound very similar. In fact, even my own wife has mistaken
Yes.
and thought it was me when it was actually Donovan on like a clip that she saw from the morning news. So no worries. I do not take offense whatsoever.
I apologize.
You are all good.
I'm
You're
so
all
sorry.
good.
Yes, you guys sound very much alike. And I can't see you. I'm just looking at my camera.
Right. Similar inflections, I guess, or something like that. All right. We'll let you get back to, obviously, a very serious topic today. But
Yes.
nice to see the discussions happening and certainly some of the input from those school leaders, too, who see those kids each and every day in the classrooms and hopefully can help lead to some changes that we see in the city as a whole as well. Abril, thank you very much for joining us here on the live desk.
Thank you so much, Carl. You see, I got it. I got you right there.
There we go. Third time's a charm. Much
Yes.
appreciated. All right.
Yeah.
If you want to look for Brill's full report, that will be later today on Fox 6 News 4, 5, and 6 here on Fox Local as well. So yes, some of the solutions, some of the sound, and it sounds like quite powerful interviews that she was able to get today with MPS, the leader of MPS, Brenda Cassellius, as well as other city leaders and families who have unfortunately lost children to gun violence over the years. We will let Brill get back to her work. While speaking of, unfortunately, this is quite the transition. We will take you back to that march for a Diamond Arbory that has now started from Element Lounge in downtown Milwaukee, going up to City Hall right now. Another victim of gun violence, not a child at the time, a young adult, a young woman who was killed 4 years ago, July of 2021. And our photojournalist is marching along with the mother of Diamond Arbory, that would be Lakia Thomas, other friends and family and supporters, hoping to keep attention on that loss as no one still has been arrested or held accountable for her death. This was a shooting that started apparently as a fight inside of the Element Lounge back in July of 2021, spilled out onto the streets, and Diamond Arbory was the victim of that violence 4 years ago. Still trying to shine light on her case, on the issues of gun violence, as we hear from multiple people today on that topic in the city of Milwaukee. And it appears they have reached the north side of City Hall. Let's see if we can listen in really quick. I believe that is Diamond's mother there, Lakia Thomas, with the long braids, marching with her back to us right now as the group continues on the north side of Milwaukee City Hall. And while that march continues, we are also going to take a short break here on the live desk. Let's listen to some of the march. Powerful to hear that name ringing out against the walls of Milwaukee City Hall as the group is now making their way inside the City Hall building, saying, "Say her name, Diamond." Her name was Diamond Arbory. She was killed July of 2021 outside of Element Lounge in Milwaukee. And her mother and friends and supporters hoping that the continued emphasis and continued spotlight put on this case could bring someone to justice for the killing of that woman in Milwaukee. All right, while they move their way inside to City Hall, we will try to get you back to that as well as it continues, but we do have to take another break just past the 1 o'clock hour here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll be back with you after this.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Carl Defma hanging out with you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk 105, 5 minutes past the hour. I'll be with you here until 1:30 when Kim Murphy takes over for the second hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk. And right now I want to get you back to the White House in Washington, D.C. The Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has been taking some questions from the media there on a number of different topics. Let's listen in live to some of the questioning.
Letter that you read at the beginning.
Sure.
The president, you said mild swelling in his legs.
Yes,
is
sir.
it causing him any discomfort? How are you treating it?
Nope, no discomfort from the president at all, and you probably all see that on a day-to-day basis. He's working around the clock. As for the treatments, I can defer to the president's physician, and we'll get you this letter. I think it will answer all your questions.
The reports that a Chinese-born banker who works in Atlanta for Wells Fargo is being prevented from leaving China. Has the president, is he going to bring this up with President Xi? Are you aware of the case?
I'm not aware of the case, but I'm sure our National Security Council team is. Steve will get you some answers on that.
Thank you.
Kristen.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions. So the first is that President Trump said that the Attorney General only gave him a brief overview of what was in these Epstein files. Does he have knowledge or an understanding of what is in the files related to Epstein that have not been released?
Not to my knowledge, and that's a question for the Attorney General, as I said, and the President has told the Attorney General if they have any more credible evidence, they should release it.
Is that evidence, would she have to run that by the President before she released it?
I don't think so. He said if she has any more credible evidence, she should release it.
Go
ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, yes.
Great. Thank you, Caroline. Two questions. One, today...
And you can go ahead, Andrew. Don't worry.
Today, tens of thousands of folks are rallying nationwide to honor the legacy of Congressman John Lewis. Meanwhile, Republicans in Texas reportedly are working to redraw congressional maps at President Trump's urging. How is President Trump reconciling his call to action for Texas Republicans with the legacy of Representative John Lewis?
I'm not quite sure how the two things are related. I think the president would agree that John Lewis served our country for many, many years. It has nothing to do with the redistricting efforts that are currently underway by Texas Republicans to add seats to their legislature. They have the right to do that. The president spoke to the congressmen and women who serve the great state of Texas about it, but it's up to them and it's up to their legislature to get that approved.
And Caroline, just the second question.
Go
Does
ahead.
the president support the Justice Department's request for just 1 day in jail for the officer convicted in Breonna Taylor's killing? And what message does he believe that sends to her family and to other families seeking justice in cases of police violence?
I haven't talked to the president about that case. Go ahead.
Just the president.
Go ahead.
While that continues at the White House, in the interest of fairness, Hakeem Jeffries has also started his own media briefing today, taking questions from the media there, the leader of the minority leader of the U.S. House of Representatives for the Democratic Party. Let's listen in live to some of his question and answering as well.
On top of that, Republicans are certainly trying to cast him as a liability for Democrats. Do you see him as such?
We're going to have a very robust discussion in the event that we are able to proceed tomorrow, but at some point shortly thereafter, if we are not, about quality of life issues important to the people that I represent in the 8th Congressional District in New York, related to affordability, safety, and the ability to make sure that New York City remains a place that working families, middle-class folks, and all those who aspire to be part of the middle class can continue to call home. At the same period of time, I do look forward to having a conversation with our Democratic nominee about the importance of everyone being on the same page in terms of taking back control of the House of Representatives in 2026.
Since then, Gavin Newsom has come out pretty strongly and said he's ready to pull the trigger and do that to counter what's going on in Texas. Given that development, can you weigh in a little bit more? Do you think it's a good idea, a bad idea? Does it set a bad precedent? And are you in discussions with the governor about doing that very thing?
It's all options on the table at this moment because of the existential threat that Republicans have posed to the health, safety, and economic well-being of the American people. As Democrats, we just want fair maps across the country. And to the extent that governors in different states throughout the nation conclude that a reevaluation as to whether their current maps are as fair as possible should take place, that certainly is a decision that makes sense to me in this environment.
The House is expected to vote on a trio of crypto bills later today or perhaps tomorrow. I'm just wondering if you know yet how you'll be planning to vote, because I know Democratic leaders aren't planning to whip those bills.
I certainly will make a decision about all three bills in advance of me arriving on the floor of the House of Representatives. We, as you have pointed out, have made the decision not to whip those bills, and so every single member, myself included, are evaluating the individual merits of each of those pieces of legislation to determine what makes the most sense for the communities that we're privileged to represent.
And relatedly, with the defense bill, the total defense spending this year is going to be at or above $1 trillion for the first time. I'm wondering if you have any specific concerns about the spending there, allocations, if you think it should, be different in any significant ways.
Here's the thing about Donald Trump, House Republicans, and the GOP. These are people who have for years claimed to be the party of fiscal responsibility. They're not the party of fiscal responsibility. These people are reckless and irresponsible as it relates to taxpayer dollars. The Republicans just passed this one big ugly law that explodes the debt and the deficit and is leading America down a path of potential economic disaster and bankruptcy as a result of Republicans jamming this extreme partisan bill down the throats of the American people. We clearly have to get our fiscal house in order, but it is certainly the case that Republicans have zero credibility as it relates to spending taxpayer dollars in a manner that is efficient, effective, and equitable. Politics, at the end of the day, is about the management of public money. And the one thing that is clear right now is that Republicans have determined to manage that money in a way that hurts everyday Americans and rewards billionaires with massive tax breaks. And they clearly are also in the business of rewarding their donors and special interests that they feel will serve their political interests, but that we know undermine the public interest. Last question?
Thank you, Leader. A new report came out a couple months ago saying that Social Security funds, as well as some other entitlement programs, may be on, at risk of losing money sooner than expected. What do you think the Democrats' strategy should be to save those programs from solvency? Is it just simply taxing the rich, or are there other strategies that you have?
Well, let me first make the observation that Social Security and Medicare are not entitlement programs. Republicans call them entitlement programs because they believe, these extremists, that they're entitled to cut them. Social Security and Medicare are earned benefits. Hardworking American taxpayers pay into those programs through the FICA tax every single working day of their lives. They've earned those benefits. They've paid into those benefits. They deserve their Social Security and Medicare benefits. By the way, in this one big ugly law, it is likely to trigger more than $500 billion in cuts to Medicare, which is extraordinary. And we know the Republicans also have put Social Security on the chopping block. The 60th anniversary of Medicare and Medicaid is going to take place on July 30th, and House Democrats will have a Medicare Matters and Medicaid Matters Day of Action, talking about our efforts to both protect and strengthen Medicare and Medicaid and push back against the dramatic cuts to Medicaid that were part of the One Big Ugly Law. A few weeks after that, on August 7th, I believe, that is the 90th anniversary of Social Security. And we'll be having a Save Social Security Day of Action. And we'll have more to say about that as we approach it. But certainly, I'm greatly appreciative of the effort of leaders like John Larson and Richie Neal, who have previously put forth legislation, Social Security 2100 Act, that is an important part of our strategy to both protect Social Security and strengthen Social Security. There's a big difference between Democrats and Republicans. And we are going to continue to fight for everyday Americans, for children, for veterans, for farmers, for hardworking American families, and for older Americans, which means our message to Republicans will continue to be clear. Keep your hands off of Social Security and Medicare. Thank you.
And with Hakeem Jeffries stepping away from the podium there, we have to take a short break ourselves, stepping away for a quick 2 minutes here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're going to get an update on some of the severe weather that came through the state of Wisconsin yesterday and how much it's changing over the next few days as well from our weather expert, Stephanie Barrichello. 2 confirmed tornadoes in Wisconsin from yesterday's storms in our area. Steph will detail that and some of the major drops in temperatures today that you'll certainly notice out and about after this on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Carl Deffenbaugh with you here on this Thursday afternoon. We'll give you a live look right now at downtown Milwaukee. You can see all the clouds out there as the skyline doesn't even have a little bit of sunshine on it today. So quite a big change. And notice the temperature in the bottom left as well, 62 degrees. That was the result of the storm system that swept through so much of Wisconsin yesterday. And for much more on that, joined by my friend Stephanie Barrichello back there in the weather office, standing by with those those storm reports. And yes, I can see behind you those 2 confirmed tornadoes as well, Steph. Take it away. That has been quite the last 24 hours or so.
Yeah, it was very active yesterday afternoon. I think western Wisconsin saw their first tornado warning after about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or maybe just before 1 o'clock. Here in southeast Wisconsin, we had our first tornado warning just after 3:30, and then saw multiple more in the following hours. So the National Weather Service sent out 2 crews to separate areas, one out west closer to Dodgeville and one to Dodge County earlier this morning, to survey some of the reports that we received. We saw a handful of viewer pictures especially. And so the latest from the National Weather Service is that we do have 2 confirmed fairly weak tornadoes in Dodge County. The first one was only on the ground for a minute, if that, likely a little less than that, so very brief, but EF0 tornado in Beaver Dam, and actually in a cornfield too, so that's some good news. There wasn't a ton of damage there. Estimated winds of 65 miles per hour, and then also the Hustisford area, an EF0 confirmed, estimated winds of 70 miles per hour, and if you're familiar with that part of Dodge County, this would be County Road E at West Hillcrest Road, that's where it started, and then ended at Gray Road, or I should say the intersection of Gray Road and Wildcat Road, and that was just after 3:35 in the afternoon. So far, 2 confirmed tornadoes in our area. I saw more significant pictures and video footage from out west, especially the Dodgeville area, parts of Sauk County. No reports yet of confirmation. I'm sure the survey teams are still out there doing their jobs, but once we do find out more, we will of course pass that along to all of you guys. And this is actually a viewer photo. This is from Martin, of the tornado near Beaver Dam. So there you go. You can clearly see it there. And that's what likely prompted the National Weather Service to even go out that way, despite the fact that that tornado was on the ground for a very brief amount of time. When we have such a clear photo like that, of course, that's going to prompt the National Weather Service to be out surveying. And then look at this. I mean, we just talked about the tornadoes. There was a water spout just offshore of Sheboygan. Pretty cool there. And we saw a couple of different viewer photos of this water spout. And then speaking of Sheboygan County too, a ton of rainfall. A lot of our northern communities picked up 3-4 inches worth of rainfall, and just north of our viewing area, Carl, over 5.5 inches of rainfall in some communities. So just spectacular rainfall numbers. Now, we did have a lot of tornado warnings yesterday. I really wanted to get to this map because I think this shows a clear picture of how active it was yesterday. 15 tornado warnings were issued within a few hours, basically from out west near the Dodgeville area and even up to near the Dells, east of the Dells actually, and then into parts of Fond du Lac as well as Dodge and Jefferson County. Now, east of that area, it was the heavy rain and strong wind in the northern communities, Sheboygan to Ozaukee County, but Waukesha, Milwaukee's, and points towards the south, especially south of Milwaukee, fortunately didn't really get much of this. Thankful to not have the severe weather, but also these southern communities still need a lot of rain. I'm very understanding of that. So they didn't, unfortunately, see the rain associated with this storm system, though we could still see more as we start the weekend. So we're not quite done with our rain chances. Thankfully, today and tomorrow we get our break. And Carl, you mentioned it. I mean, temperatures today, far cry from the last couple of days. I don't even think Milwaukee will hit 70 because we saw that lake breeze kick in. So we were at 64 during the 11 o'clock news if you were watching. Yeah. Now we're down to 62. So I don't think we're going too much more.
When you said too, you were kind of holding out for some sunshine. I'll just pop this up. This is a view from our Estherbrook Park tower camera. Can't make out any sunshine in this picture.
No, unfortunately not. Our camera's up towards the north, though. I was checking in on our Green Bay camera, our Door County camera, and Sturgeon Bay. Looking pretty good. They're at least partly sunny, so you know that mix of blue sky and sunshine with some cloud cover. So I do think by late afternoon, early evening, you know, maybe your 5-6 o'clock time frame, we'll have at least some peaks of sunshine, but by that time, that's not really going to help us out when it comes to temperatures. So if you want more sun, tomorrow is the day. We're not going to see much of it today. And I would say maybe just embrace this more fall-like feel for today, because I do have 90s back in the forecast by early next week. So we are in no way done with that summer-like heat.
Yeah, it's kind of a one-day dip and then right back to more typical July experiences here, maybe even above it. It's a good reminder too, Steph, about just what a large area we cover here in southeastern Wisconsin. I know for the Wisconsin Live Desk, we look at the whole state, but those of us here in southeastern Wisconsin, I had a lot of friends yesterday in the Milwaukee area saying, hey, what happened to all these storms you told me about? Where's this rain? Well, it was there. It was just in kind of the northern counties, not down by us.
Yeah, and a lot of times it doesn't always happen, but this is a pretty normal trend where we see the storms develop in western Wisconsin. They are by far the strongest into our western communities, and then they begin to weaken a little bit. You think of it moving from western Wisconsin to eastern Wisconsin. I mean, that's still a decent distance. So that's what we saw in this situation too. It was still strong enough to bring that heavy rain to northern communities. I'd say the southern edge of it, though, just started to creep up towards the northeast. So that's the reason why parts of Washington as well as Ozaukee counties saw more of the rainfall rather than Waukesha and Milwaukee counties, and especially down towards the south.
All right, just for some fun here, Steph, because I was going to ask you about the weekend forecast. There's a lot going on, right? Bastille Days is actually underway. It started at 11 o'clock this morning.
Yes.
Of course, we've heard some of the Jets. The air show, the actual show is Saturday and Sunday. I was curious, so I looked this up. The high today in Paris, actual Paris, France, 79 degrees, while here in Milwaukee for Bastille Days, it's hovering at 62 right now.
Okay, that's impressive for France because they have had some extreme heat.
Yeah, that's actually low for what they've experienced, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we're going to feel a little cool. But you know what? The runners for Storm the Bastille later tonight, I know my husband's taking part in that.
Very nice.
I think it's going to be refreshing for all those runners.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
I know, that's a bonus there.
One of the skyline shots there for you. People will get to run through Milwaukee tonight. How about for that weekend? Saturday and Sunday, such a busy stretch for folks. Of course, hoping that weather won't impact the Blue Angels performance and all the other things happening, whether it's Bastille Days or the air show. How are we looking?
We're looking okay. Kind of a split weekend forecast. I do think we need to watch Saturday for a chance for storms. Now, timing is still, it still differs from model to model. Half more so favoring a morning chance for storms. The other half picking up on a few developing throughout the afternoon and evening. I don't think either will be enough to cancel any plans, but I would say, especially when it comes to the 2 days, we're going to need to be prepared for some thunderstorms on Saturday. I'm more so favoring morning into the early afternoon, that time frame for Saturday right now. I know that's going to impact at least something because, like you said, it is a really busy weekend. One of my favorite weekends, by the way.
I know,
between the Air and Water Show and Bastille Days, right? It's the best. So yeah, I think we do need to watch Saturday.
Two of the best events of a Milwaukee summer. Hopefully won't be completely impacted. Sounds like, dodge some things on Saturday. You'll still be able to enjoy it some of Saturday and plenty of Sunday. Steph, thank you so much for joining us here. Always appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, we are going to take a short break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. One more to fit in on this hour, and then Kim Murphy in a bright yellow dress, surprising us with the sunshine today, standing by to take over the Live Desk once we're back up and running here. Thanks a lot for watching.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Carl Deffenbaugh back with you. It is 1:30. That means my hour is done. Kim Murphy standing by to take over the second hour for you through 2:30, as we are each and every Monday through Friday here on Fox Local. We want to leave you with this as we do our transition here. This is Janine Pirro, the District Attorney for Washington, D.C. just stepped to the podium. Some remarks that she has. We'll use this as our transition, and Kim will be with you for the second hour of the Live Desk after this.
Fear, as well as disrupting one's ability to actually perform their duties. So my message today should be loud and clear. This behavior is a crime. You threaten a public official, and you'll face the full force of the law crushing down on you. There will be no mercy and no excuses. And I would like to thank the Office of the State Department's Inspector General, but also the Capitol Police, who have been working on this case for several years. And we have with us Chief Mike Sullivan. Chief?
Thank you, Judge. This has got to stop. I've been here for 3 weeks and met with members of Congress consistently and hear a consistent message. This has changed since Minnesota. We are going to work very, very hard to hold you accountable if you make these threats. I want to commend the incredible work of the men and women of the Capitol Police. They came together as a team to put this investigation together, to bring it to the U.S. Attorney, to come to this day. And they are still working on this investigation as we speak. So once again, I want to thank the men and women of the Capitol Police who every single day go out and dedicate themselves to make sure that we protect the people that we're sworn to protect. Thank you. And I also want to thank the State Inspector General for their assistance on the case, and the Anne Arundel County Police who were there this morning on the scene, helping us on the scene serve the warrant. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
Is he still in custody, and does he have an initial?
Yes, he's got a presentation within the hour. It is a 4-count indictment that has just been unsealed. He is retired from Voice of America just a couple of months ago, so I understand that he's now unemployed.
And the 4 counts
You know what? That's the one thing that... Do you have the file on this? Hang on. They involve obviously the threats, as well as communication versus the telephones, as well as the intent to annoy and abuse and harass. But the original 2 charges are 18 U.S.C. 115A, influencing a federal official by threatening a family member. And basically, the statute reads that you threaten, hang on to that, that you threaten a family, you threaten an official with killing a member of their family in the hopes that you will prevent them from doing their official duty, or in retaliation for something that they have already done. That's count 1. And the second one is influencing a federal official by threat. That's the straight-out threat, I'm going to kill you, as well as anonymous telecommunications harassment. And obviously the federal hook there is the telecommunications. And there is also the interstate communications with the threat to kidnap and injure. Serious stuff here. And to have to live your life with that kind of thing, we're locked and loaded, we're coming for you, is not a comfortable thing. Yes, sir.
Was there any investigation into whether this person may have also been responsible for the swatting incidents that...
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think that we have any reason to believe that based upon what we know right now. But as the chief just indicated, I mean, we executed a search warrant. When we get a return on that information, you know, we'll find out if there's more to comment on. Yes, sir. Yeah. Good question. There were no rifles or guns that were seized today, correct?
That's my understanding.
That's our understanding, and we're sticking with it because that's what we know. Maryland, what town in Maryland?
I believe it's Edgewater, Maryland.
Edgewater. I'm new to the area. You're here 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
8.
So he was charged in Edgewater, and he had to be
No, no. He was arrested in Edgewater and brought here. He's going to be arraigned in a couple minutes. No, presented. Yeah, I'm not getting into that stuff right now. I'm here to fight crime, and that's just what I'm going to do. That I don't know. Do you know?
I would refer you to Anne Arundel
Yeah.
County for that question.
Yeah.
Judge,
All right, guys.
Quick question for you, Judge. You got through the Judiciary Committee today. You did something that your predecessor was not able to do. Any idea why were you able to get through that the committee? And have you made?
I did something that who wasn't able to do?
Your predecessor, Ed Martin, wasn't able to.
Oh, my predecessor.
Yes.
You think I'm going to touch that? No. It's good to see you all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Kim Murphy on the Wisconsin Live Desk. You just heard a little bit of a briefing that's happening in Washington. We're going to take a quick break here, and we've got a couple of big interviews coming up later this afternoon on the second hour of Wild, the Wisconsin Live Desk. The Milwaukee Public Market celebrating a big anniversary, 20 years. And we'll tell you something special that they're going to offer to celebrate that milestone.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
And good afternoon here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We are quickly sorting through the criminal complaint that has just been released by the Milwaukee County DA's office on the shooting of Officer Kendall Corder and his partner, Christopher McCrae. We know that the suspect in this case, Tremaine Jones, was charged in the case on Tuesday, July 1st. He is charged, among other things, with first-degree intentional homicide. I want to make sure that I get that right. First-degree intentional homicide and use of a dangerous weapon. But what the criminal complaint does is give us more detail on the investigation, the facts that have been gathered so far. The other charge that Jones is facing is first-degree recklessly endangering safety, use of a dangerous weapon, and also there's probable cause with this complaint for it to then go on to head to trial. But we're going to try to sort through this throughout the next hour and give you a few more details on this. but the criminal complaint has now been released. Tremaine Jones, we know, did have his preliminary hearing on July 9th, charged in the shooting that killed Officer Kendall Corder and wounded Officer Christopher McCray. We're going to check in to see what's happening right now in Congress. On the floor, it looks pretty quiet. Not really sure if they're on a recess right now, waiting for the next session, but that's one of the pictures that is coming into us right now. And then let's take a look at what's happening around here. Geez, what a difference a day makes in the weather, right? Yesterday we were talking about just stifling humidity and heats, and that, of course, gave way to a number of storms, and the National Weather Service has now confirmed that 2 tornadoes did touch down in Dodge County. As we take a look at some of the pictures that came into us, not that picture, sorry about that, that one. Severe weather, this was Brandon who shared some of the scenes that were coming in. This is near Neosho, some of those clouds, just serious at that time. Here now is another picture of some of that severe weather that tore across Wisconsin. This is Kathy in Ashippun who shared some of those pictures. And so yesterday those clouds just really kind of predicted, kind of gave us a heads up that some severe weather was on the way, and our weather experts were in the office. They were on top of it throughout that to get you through that. And so we can report that there was no major damage, although 2 tornadoes have now been confirmed by the National Weather Service that did touch down. The good news is there was no loss of life, and there was no significant loss of property. And again, here is another shot. This is the confirmed, one of the confirmed tornadoes in Dodgeville. Welcome back to the second half of the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'm Kim Murphy on this Thursday. It's a busy weekend here. We've got the Air and Water Show returning to the lakefront this weekend, and it's also Bastille Days. So a lot of things that are going on. Hopefully this cool, cloudy weather that we're having will push out, and we'll have some good weather for these big outdoor events that are happening. I'm going to take you right now back to Washington. Seems like we are getting a little bit of action there. Let's listen in.
On my opposition of the unwelcome assertions of China's control over Taiwan. As a former social studies teacher, geography was part of what I would teach. I would never use in my classroom display a map showing rightly that China is in possession of Taiwan. But let me take the teaching just one step farther. This amendment would prevent the Department of Defense from buying or displaying a map that shows how China views itself in the world, how China is putting out mis and disinformation on what they think the world should look like according to them. It would force the department, in my opinion, to put its head in the sand when at the military academies showing China's view of the world and why we have to work so hard to defeat that. So I hope we can all agree it's important to know what our allies and our adversaries are thinking, that we have adults at our military academies that can sort out the difference and see the differences in the maps. And as a geography teacher and a person who used to use maps, that is my only opposition to the gentleman's amendment. I know what he's getting at. I don't disagree with it, but sometimes you have to have what your enemy and how they view the world and what they're showing the world in juxtaposition for how we view the world and how Taiwan needs to remain independent. Congress and the department should focus our time and energy on being clear about China with respect for international boundaries and rule of law. So I just, as a geography teacher, I had to say something. And with that, I'm just going to yield back. I thank the chair.
The gentlelady yields back her time, and the gentleman from California is recognized. Oh, the gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
You're going to yield me time. I will yield the chairman.
The gentleman from California is recognized.
I certainly rise in support of the amendment. The amendment prohibits the expenditure of funds to create, procure, or display any map that depicts Taiwan as part of the territory of the People's Republic of China. Let's be clear. Taiwan is not a part of the People's Republic of China. We should not appease the desires of the Communist Chinese leadership by pretending that it is. Our map should accurately reflect this reality. I urge my colleagues to support the amendment, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields, and the gentleman from
I
Wisconsin reserves his time. He's the only one that controls time.
I would like to yield 1 minute to my friend from Arizona, Mr. Biggs.
The gentleman from Arizona is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you. Taiwan's a great friend of the United States, and it's a unique friend to Arizona. The CCP uses every tool it can, including maps, to undermine truth and assert illegitimate claims over sovereign territory. Congress should not fund anything that supports the CCP's disinformation efforts, and now is the time for strategic clarity with rising bellicosity coming from the CCP. We cannot allow for authoritarian regimes to dictate how our government communicates facts, and if we truly stand for freedom, sovereignty, and truth, then we must also stand with Taiwan, and this is one way to do so, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields back his time, and the gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
I'll just close by saying I appreciate the consistency by the gentle lady from Minnesota, because she said the same thing a couple years ago. But this body was excluded back in 1979 when the One China policy was implemented by President Carter, and it's up to this body to make sure it claims its rightful place in foreign policy when we have an issue like this before us. And she talks about the spirit of this amendment. I would say this amendment is issued in the spirit of freedom. And that is all that Taiwan is looking for, is to defend its freedom, and it should be able to do it. With that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Wisconsin. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the amendment is agreed to. That underline really helps. Thanks. The chair understands that amendment number 303 will not be offered. For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
I move that the committee do now rise.
The question is on the motion that the committee rise. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Accordingly, the committee rises.
Right now. Madam Chairwoman.
Madam Speaker, the Committee on the Whole House on the State of the Union, having had under consideration H.R. 4016, directs me to report that it has come to no resolution thereon.
The Chair of the Committee of the Whole House on the State of the Union reports that the committee has had under consideration H.R. 4016 and has come to no resolution thereon. Proceedings will resume on questions previously postponed. Votes will be taken in the following order: passage of H.R. 3633, passage of Senate 1582, and passage of H.R. 1919. The first electronic vote will be conducted as a 15-minute vote. Pursuant to Clause 9 of Rule 20, remaining electronic votes will be conducted as 5-minute votes. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is the vote on passage of H.R. 3633, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will report the title of the bill.
Union Calendar Number 134, H.R. 3633, a bill to provide for a system of regulation of the offer and sale of digital commodities by the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission and for other purposes.
The question is on the passage of the bill. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 15-minute vote.
And you've just been listening to a little bit of business that's happening on the House floor. Representatives voting on a measure, giving you just kind of an insight of how our government works. This is something they do day in and day out, vote on different measures there. This one related to China and the relationship with Taiwan and China's ability, or should China have the ability to recognize Taiwan as part of its territory. And so you have there Republicans voting there, 217 to 211, and there was a total of kind of hard to decipher, but 428 votes in all there happening on the House of Representatives floor. Let's listen in. And there you have it, our government at work. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'm Kim Murphy. On this Thursday, we've got a lot of things that are happening in our courts. Let's get right to it. There has now been a criminal complaint that has been released in the kidnapping that sparked an Amber Alert over this weekend. This is Corey G. Williams. He is now charged with kidnapping, one count of kidnapping as party to a crime, count 2, taking hostages as party to a crime, and also count 3, contributing to the delinquency of a child. All of these, I believe, are felonies. And so we're getting some details of the investigation here, and it is very, very involved here. But reading this rough now from the criminal complaints, this all started, it seems, as a plot to kidnap the child, to extort money from the mother. A detective interviewed the defendant here, Corey Williams. In that interview, Williams stated that about 2 weeks ago, he was contacted, or let me take that back. 2 weeks ago, someone identified as BC contacted Williams with the intention to rob the mother of the 7-year-old who was kidnapped. Williams says that this person, the mother, according to the criminal complaint, the defendant claimed that the mother is a well-known drug dealer and flaunted the money, and that she had been seen with bricks of drugs during FaceTime calls. And the defendant stated, this is Williams, says that this person called him on July 11th to try and rob the mother that day. According to the criminal complaint, Williams stated he left work early that day, borrowed his girlfriend's Kia white Jeep, and that person who contacted him about the kidnapping plot, according to the complaint, and another person under investigation, brought guns to commit the robbery. The plan was to go to the 7-year-old's home, rob the mother at gunpoint. According to the complaint, Williams says that he was the driver of the Jeep. The person, according to the complaint, who was the mastermind, was in the rear seat, and a third individual was in the front seats. When they got to the residence of the 7-year-old boy, they waited, but they never saw the mother. And this is when, according to the complaint, the mastermind suggested that they rob another individual, the child's father, instead. And so on Friday, July 11th, according to the complaint, on 62nd and Eustis, they drove the Jeep to the home. They saw the child and his father in front of the residence. The child was on his bike at the time. The mastermind, according to this complaint, and the other individual who was in the car got out of the Jeep with handguns, ran towards the father. The father ran into the house. The mastermind, according to this complaint, grabbed the child, and that person took the child into the Jeep, and then the defendant here, Corey Williams, drove away with all 4 people. The defendant here, Corey Williams, says that while driving away, he got into an argument with the person identified as BC and the other individual for taking the child. The defendant here, Corey Williams, said that the plan then changed, and the other individual contacted the mother later that night and demanded $100,000 and jewelry in exchange for her child. and that they were going to meet at a nearby park. So we are just roughly getting into the details of this criminal complaint. But what we can tell you now is that there have been charges that have been filed. This is one of several individuals facing charges. This is Corey Williams. He is now charged with kidnapping and taking hostages, and also contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I'm Kim Murphy on the Wisconsin Live Desk. When it breaks here. We'll be back right after this.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
And welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'm Kim Murphy. We're going to dig deeper into that criminal complaint that was just released on the kidnapping and the Amber Alert around a 7-year-old Milwaukee boy. We're getting details. According to this complaint, this was all part of a plot to extort money from the mother. One of the persons who is now charged claims that the child's mother is a well-known drug dealer. That's according to the complaint, and that they believe that they could extort $100,000 from the mother. And so we'll get more information on that, and certainly we'll have it for you this evening on FOX6 News at 4. We're going to go now to Tammy Bruce, the State Department. Always a good place to stop to listen in, to find out get some updates on questions that are swirling Washington. We're sure to hear questions about the Epstein files. This is not going away. President Trump last evening posting on his platform, Truth Social, that he's claiming it's a hoax by Democrats, that there is no client list, that there is no more information to be released, after the Attorney General Pam Bondi said there is no client list. Some in the Republican Party are not buying it. They are pressing for more information, and so this is something that is not going away, and you may hear questions along those lines. So let's now listen to the State Department briefing. This is Tammy Bruce.
Christians in Gaza are protected. We have 3 people dead, including an 88-year-old woman from Ayad family. And to make sure that these people are not actually targeted, but as the Prime Minister said, because there have been many incidents before, Tammy, as you know. They targeted the Russian Orthodox Church before.
Yes, well, in this case, of course, it was an accident. I think that the response from...
Because there have been many incidents before, Tammy, as you know. They targeted the Russian Orthodox Church before.
Yes, well, in this case, of course, it was an accident. I think that the response from Netanyahu is an appropriate start. Of course, we share condolences to the citizens, the civilians' deaths at the Roman Catholic Church. We have asked that Israel investigate the strike still, of course, and ensure that all civilians, including Christian civilians, remain safe. That's one of our, of course, regular asks of everyone as we try to stop war and engage with ceasefires because of the horrible dynamics that exist across the world when this goes on. There's no benefit to this, any kind of military action, no real benefit at all. So Israel did express a deep sorrow over the damage and over any civilian casualties, and the IDF, they do note, is investigating. And of course, for further information, we refer you to the government of Israel. I can tell you, as I think Caroline also noted, that President Trump also spoke to the Prime Minister, and I think it's an understatement to say that he was not happy, that this is, again, the kind of thing that reinforces his commitment to peace around the world. I've spoken with the Secretary today at length on a number of issues. Obviously, everyone is appalled.
And this is to bring you up to speed.
For those
You're
who
getting
haven't seen it, for those at home,
the question was about a strike that happened earlier today. Gaza's Catholic Church hit in an apparent Israeli strike. The State Department being questioned on that. Pope Leo has tweeted and expressed he is deeply saddened after 3 people died in this apparent strike, Israeli strike on Gaza's only Catholic church. The Pope calling the strike a military attack and commending the souls of the deceased to the loving mercy of Almighty God. The Holy Father prays for the consolation of those who grieve and for the recovery of those injured. The Latin Church of Jerusalem, which is a jurisdiction of the Latin Rite Catholics in Gaza, say that the Holy Family Church was hit by Israel Thursday morning. The church had become a shelter for the small Christian community in Gaza amid the ongoing war. We're going to take a break.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Milwaukee's Public Market is celebrating a milestone, 20 years, and it has been a 20 great years. I can remember when that area was nothing. It was dark, it was desolate, and then this idea of a public market was proposed, and I think a lot of folks was like, what is that? We are so glad that folks pushed ahead and they had the answer to what the public market could be and what it could mean for Milwaukee and Wisconsin. Paul Schwartz, Executive Director of the Public Market, joins us this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Congratulations on 20 years. Does it seem like it's been 20 years?
Some days it feels like 200 and other days it feels like 2, but it's been a great 2 decades, and we've been so fortunate to be embraced by the community in Milwaukee and the millions of people who visit us every year.
What is the secret to the public market? Because, you know, for a while now, physical structures like malls have been declining. It's been so hard to keep them going and revived, but the public market has not only stayed, but it's thriving. It continues to grow.
That's a great question. I think one of the things that we've always concentrated on is figuring out ways in which we can get the community to embrace us, whether it's through amazing food product and beverage product inside the market or through programming like concerts and cooking classes. So I think you have to be multi-dimensional and really understand what the community at large needs and wants in a venue like this. I think our proximity in the greater downtown area and certainly in the historic Third Ward has helped that immensely.
So tell me about this exciting collaboration now with Lakefront Brewery.
It's been incredibly fun. You know, Russ Glish, the owner, and I were joking that while the market is 20, so that means that we're not officially drinking age yet, but we have this amazing reputation in Milwaukee being known as Brew City. And so we wanted to, as we were checking off boxes of how we want to commemorate 20 years, we thought what better way than to partner with this local icon and local brewing, Lakefront Brewery, to develop a custom labeled beer that is easy to drink, smooth, and that we could sell not only at all of our events throughout the season and out the rest of the year, but we can offer it here at the Milwaukee Public Market, vendors who sell alcohol, and really embrace and toast the community who supported us.
In addition to the multiple vendors that are inside the market has grown and has a bigger footprint outside of the market. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's a great point too. And I think that's one of the pillars of our success. We don't necessarily always think about ourselves as inside the market walls, which is enormously popular, as we all know. But we've really, over the course of the last 5 to 7 years, embraced an outdoor footprint to where we can expand outdoor programming, outdoor seating. I mean, so many of us, especially as we're in the middle of July, love to be outside, whether it's eating outside, dining outside, being on a hotel rooftop, and we're no different here. And so we've really embraced and tried to activate spaces in the surrounding perimeter of the market. We've installed pickleball courts across the street a couple years ago. We have an outdoor music and concert venue space. We're improving green spaces around the market. So I think it's an attractive way to experience the market. And I think when people come in and visibly see the activity around here, it makes them want to be a part of it as well.
I'm glad you mentioned that because it's possible to have green space in the heart of the city. You've done that. You've capitalized on the river. You see activity. You see people on kayaks and just enjoying the river. You've got public art. I can't tell you. It doesn't, whenever I'm downtown, there's always someone taking a picture by the big pink bird.
Yeah, the swallows.
The swallows, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you said it's not, green space is not only possible, in our view, it's vital. Art, public green space, places where people can gather. I think that's a vital component of what makes venues like us successful and just neighborhoods in general successful. We have this award-winning Riverwalk alongside one of our biggest assets, which is our waterways, the river. Why not embrace that and really create a culture of gathering and social activity? And so the way in which we view the market as, let's make this almost a district within a district to where people can gather not only here, but throughout the surrounding neighborhood and create a ripple effect of vitality. And I think that's been, again, one of the things that we focused on largely.
And it's year-round. The ice sculptures in the winter, big hit. The ice bars in the winter, only in Wisconsin.
Again, we concentrate, you can see a theme here. We concentrate a lot on drinking, beers,
yeah.
Ice bars. You know, we do the smallest outdoor ice rink in the wintertime as well. We've, you know, certainly coming out of the pandemic, the silver lining for us there was figure out a way to program and activate outdoor spaces throughout the year. It doesn't have to be limited to 3 months throughout the summer. You can do this year round. We sell Charlie Brown Christmas trees outside during the holidays. We activate our spaces in ways in which to give as many people, including families, a safe and vibrant area to come down to throughout the year, 24/7. So we're really happy and proud of those things, and we have amazing partners throughout the greater downtown area.
So how do we get our hands on this 20th anniversary market lager?
You can stop over to my office right now
Okay.
and do some if you want. But there's 6 vendors inside who are selling it, and that is St. Paul Fish Company, David Allen Allen, West Dallas Cheese and Sausage, Bolt's Family Market, Thief Wine, and Margaret of Paradise. And then we will sell it at all of our public programming. We have the Riverwalk Commons Concert Series, which takes place every other Tuesday throughout the summer. We'll be selling it there throughout the rest of the summer. It's already a huge hit. We launched this Tuesday. It was fantastic. And then a lot of the public programming inside the market, our cooking classes, our other public events up on the second level. There's going to be multiple ways for people to get their hands on this.
And my last question, the artwork, it's even if you're not a beer drinker, the can is so unique. Is there a story behind that?
That is the very creative mind of one of our internal staff people named Ryan Litzheim, who deserves all the credit for creating this. He had a vision of what this should look like, and he executed it phenomenally, and it's been a huge hit.
Congratulations. Cheers.
Cheers.
Prost, whatever, you know, all of that. Thank you so much, and continued success for the next 20 years.
Thanks, Kim. Cheers to 20 years.
Cheers in 20 years. And that's Paul Schwartz, Executive Director of the Milwaukee Public Market, celebrating 20 years. Really
Thank you so much.
Milwaukee's downtown, the Third Ward. You can't talk about the Third Ward without talking about the Milwaukee Public Market. And in my estimation, it's where really the revitalization started. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
If you follow me even a little bit on Instagram, you know that since the pandemic, I've kind of dipped my toe into the baking world. It started because I have for years benefited from my coworkers who are great bakers, And around the holidays, they'd always bring in their cookies, and it was great. Well, during the pandemic, there were no coworkers in the office, so I had to invest in a hand mixer, the bowls, the timer. I mean, I'm starting from like behind square one. So I am so happy to interview our next guest, a local baker who maybe you've seen on national TV lately. Kimberly Adams was a contestant on Super Mega Cakes, the competition. Kimberly, I'm so happy to interview you. First of all, congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, oh my God, you got your Food Network patch. What was that experience like?
It was amazing. Literally, Duff handpicked like some of the best cake artists from across the country to compete on this show. So not only did I get to compete with two people that were amazing, I got to actually meet some of the other people that I had never gotten to meet before, and it was a wild journey. 4 days of very hard work and a lot of cake, and we just made it happen.
How did you start?
So when we found out that our theme would be classic cartoons and Looney Tunes, we tried to figure out like what we remember about Looney Tunes as kids growing up, because all of us remember Tom and Jerry, and that was our theme. So we just had to try to figure out what's the best route to go about making a super huge, spectacular cake that would tell the story of Tom and Jerry.
What were your materials? Were there limits? What were the rules?
There were no limits. Literally, there are no limits to this competition. They just wanted the biggest, most imaginative, creative cake that we could possibly think of.
Oh my gosh, like Tom and Jerry, that when I think of, yes, that's who comes to mind. And that's a cake?
Yes.
How do you?
It's cake.
It's cake. Is it more difficult to build the structure of the cake, or like what's the process?
So what we wanted to do was try to depict the chaos of Tom and Jerry. So we figured we see them on TV, so why not create this huge cake that looks like a television, and then create the Tom and Jerry scene within the television. Like literally, I crawled inside of that cake in order to do all of the little elements that you see within the cake.
And the details, like, you know,
Yes.
this is old school. So this is when we had the UHS and the V, you know, and the dial. It's incredible. Okay,
Yeah.
so how do you go from baking a cake in your kitchen to this level of artistry?
That's so funny. I don't know, Kim. No, I'm kidding. So I literally started just baking for friends and family, and then some coworkers, and then one of my coworkers sent in some of my pictures to a online contest, and she didn't know what the contest was either. So when they called me and said that I would be perfect for it, we found out that it was the Food Network. So once they asked me, did I want to do it? I'm like, wait a minute, I only do this for friends and family. I don't think of myself as like someone that would compete on television. They were like, no, we think that, you know, you have something special, so we would love if you would come and compete. And so I competed on my first Food Network contest in 2010, and I won that. So ever since then, it's kind of just snowballed into, you know, the 12 different shows that I've done so far.
Wow. Are you getting orders, requests from all over the country? I would imagine.
Yes. Yes, I am. I get a ton of inboxes and a ton of calls from everywhere. Just different people seeing my cakes on the show and like, hey, I wanted to know if you could make my wedding cake or just a groom's cake, because they just want to see my skills and see what I can come up with.
And so the question, you know, when we see these competitions, does the cake taste as good as it is creative?
Absolutely. You cannot have a beautiful cake and it does not taste good. So on this particular show, we had to do a taste challenge. And for my team, I was responsible for that taste challenge. So I had to go head to head with Duff in terms of what I was going to make for my dessert. And I ended up making it was classic cartoon. So I wanted to do a classic dessert, which was a cheesecake. right? So
Uh-huh.
I did a spin on a cheesecake. So I made a graham cracker cake with a strawberry compote and a cream cheese mousse. And I made it look like a small little piece of cheese to give to the judges, who were Amaury Gouchon, who is like the chocolate guru on Instagram, YouTube. You cannot not know who he is. Um, and then Sherry Yard, who is a very well-known pastry artist. So I was shaking in my boots, for one, to create this dessert and go against Dove, but then also to have Omori and Sherry judge my dessert. And so I did my best, and then they judged me, and I actually received the perfect score on my dessert.
Oh my gosh,
Hmm.
congratulations. And to look at your team there.
Thank you.
I want to just ask you personally, what was how did you find the supports and the courage to step
Mm.
out and do this? Because this isn't something, you don't tell people, I'm really good at
Mhm.
baking cakes and make a living.
Right. I don't know. I think it just, again, you said supports, and it does come from like the support of my family and from my husband, and just people believing in my desserts. Because for one, they're the ones that taste it. So once I knew I had my taste, I knew I had that. I started to create like anything. Like I learned from YouTube, books, and the creative side of it came later. But
And was it word
I
of mouth that like people just said, oh, my friend,
Mhm.
my wife?
Yep. Hmm.
That's how it started.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Was it as easy as that? Were there some hard years where you're just like,
Oh, no,
no?
definitely not as easy as it might look.
Uh-huh.
There are definitely some hard years. Owning a business is one of the hardest things that I've ever done. Being an entrepreneur, it's not as easy as it looks. Like you have to always stay on top of the new trends. You have to always think about what your customers look like. You have to deal with customers. Customer service is always key in any business. So those things for me, and honestly, I'm just a cake maker. So going into a business, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a bookkeeper, I'm not any of those things. So with my business, I had to learn all of those things in order to keep the business going.
That is so is your family, is your husband, is he involved in the business at all?
He is my delivery person.
Okay.
He's my he's the delivery guy. Like everybody knows Taurus.
Oh,
So he's helpful in a lot of ways. Like for my business, one of my top sellers is my caramel cake, and keeping up the demand for it was so hard for me.
girl, you said
So
stop me
yes,
at
and it.
caramel cake because those are,
Hmm.
used to be so a part of our culture, but
Hmm.
sadly it has passed with,
Hmm.
our grandmothers and so on. So if you can throw down on a caramel cake, you could just do a
Yes.
business on caramel cakes.
Listen, that is my top seller, literally, to
Hmm.
this day. And so he saw that there was a need, that I needed help with making that every day, because it takes an hour to make the caramel. So with me baking everything else and doing the orders and doing the wedding cakes, and I taught him how to bake the caramel. So he will make the caramel for me.
It's a
So,
family business. Kimberly, it
yep.
is such a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for just the inspiration that you give to anyone who sees you. And, if you love what you do, it's not work, they say, and clearly you love what you do.
I do. I do very much, Kim.
And I cannot wait to see you in the next competition. Signature
Hmm.
Sweets, if, our viewers are in the market for a cake, something really special, we've got the baker right here in Milwaukee. Thank you so much for joining us.
You are welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Kim.
Yeah, continued success. And that is Kimberly Adams, Signature Sweets. We are going to take one more break before our time ends with you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'll be back after this.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
And this just in to the Wisconsin Live Desk. A couple of weeks ago, we told you TSA scrapping that rule where you have to take off your shoes to fly. That's being rolled out across the country. After 20 years, in effect, the rule, of course, that's was enacted after the failed shoe bomber attempt Richard Reed tried to bring down a plane. Well, now there is word that there may be some other changes. Well, not that change. How about the airport? So the TSA may soon allow you to carry more liquids in your luggage. The Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, said Wednesday that she's questioning, quote, everything TSA does, and spoke of possible changes to the amount of liquids that travelers can carry in their totes, in their carry-ons. So she says that may be the next big announcement is related to the size of liquids that you can bring in your carry-on. She didn't give any details of precisely what those changes might be or how quickly travelers could see them. But right now, the current guidance is it has to be a travel size. The liquid has to be 3.4 ounces or less per item in your carry-on, and they have to be placed in a 1-quart resealable plastic baggie, and bigger containers have to go in checked baggage. There are some exceptions for medications, but this would be huge because I can't tell you how many times I've been flying and you kind of look over and there's a person who's having pretty much all of their carry-on emptied, and they have to leave it behind because it does not, it's more than what the rules are. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Also, we have been following up on this breaking news. There are now charges in the over the weekend abduction that triggered an Amber Alerts in Milwaukee, a 7-year-old boy. This man, Corey Williams, is one of those charged. He alleges that he was just part of a plot contacted by someone who alleges that the mother of the child was in possession of drugs, a possible drug dealer. This is according to the criminal complaint. This is the criminal complaint making these allegations, and stated that they believe that they could extort $100,000 from the mother of that 7-year-old and jewelry in exchange for the child, and $10,000 he was going to be paid for his part in it. But the plan, according to this criminal complaint and this individual, changed when it became a kidnapping. He was not aware that it would lead to that. According to the complaint, he believed that they were first going to try to rob the mother, and then when that was a fail, they saw the father. They were going to try to rob the father, and according to this complaint, this impromptu kidnapping happened, and the child was taken, and he claims that that was not what he believed the plan to be. So we're going to have much more on this as we break down the criminal complaint. But Corey Williams, one of those who has now been charged related to that, what triggered the Amber Alert over the weekend, that 7-year-old is safe with his family. We will continue to follow this. Please join us this evening, Fox 6 News at 4. Have a great afternoon.